Welcome to ManUp series, February 2024 edition. Theme: Your possibilities, your responsibility. Thank you as you stay with us.
Ademayowa holds a diploma in modern applied psychology and was trained by the Integrative Wellness Academy as a cognitive behavioral therapist and life coach. He possesses over a decade worth of volunteering experience with different organizations, both local and international, amidst which are the Google Student Team, FUNAP, the Startup Nigeria also, and Abiodun Fijabi's Lord Princely Associates, a public speaking firm that trains leaders and organizations in 4 continents of the world, catering for clients like Masters Energy, Aga Institute, Lafarge, and many more. He is a Nigerian social entrepreneur, a community builder, and a business strategist who has been recognized for his work in creating opportunities for young people in Africa. And that is the Motivational and Inspirational Voices International and the Award United Kingdom. He is the managing partner at the Nukova Company, a training firm that provides personality-based solutions to personal performance. So he is also the founder of the Purpose of a non-profit organization that provides training, mentorship, and resources to equip young Africans as transformation catalysts for the emerging world and the future of work. He was part of the team champions at the Ibadan Google Business Group 2012 Business Challenge, and he is an alumnus of the awards Global Youth Ambassador Program, where he served a 3-year tenure advocating for quality education. He is also an alumnus of the Harvest House Startup Academy, Munt Affairs School for Personal Leadership, TWIM Art Institute, and has masterclass certifications in leadership, graduate employability skills, enterprise development, etiquette, branding, design thinking, and business management. He has an unrepentant passion for youth and has reached over 15,000 youth on purpose, talent management, and career development, and currently serves as a member of the Alumni Council of the Global Shapers Community, Ibadan Hub. He is the author of the Communication Handbook, Understanding Mentoring, and the Talent Management audio series, amidst other personal development resources. A wise man once told me that if you are to invest, or the greatest investment you can ever have is to invest in humans, because that's one of the greatest investments. So please welcome with me Mr. Ademayowa Fadare as he takes this section. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. All right, I'd like to say a big thank you to Dr. Dosumu for the privilege of coming aboard such an initiative as this. The ManUp virtual conference. It's something that I believe is very, very peculiar and very integral for a time as this, where there's such a huge burden for men, the masculine gender in particular. All right, there's a need to step up to the responsibilities required, and trust me, these are responsibilities that require courage, a huge amount of courage, and a lot of audacity in the world that we are in the times that we are in. The world is changing drastically, and we all must be able to align, ourselves, position ourselves to steward that change. I want to also specially celebrate the entire leadership, of course, of the ManUp virtual conference, and particularly Mr. Victor Zil, who spoke powerfully earlier. Amazing thoughts that he has shared, of which I'm hoping to be able to come from another direction to augment some of the things that he has said. And no doubt, some of the things I will be sharing in the little time that I have there are some that you may be familiar with, but I always like to take the countercultural approach, and so sometimes I like to apologize in advance, because at some point it may look like some of my words can be a bit blunt. I am a firm believer in calling a spade a spade. I don't think that it is every time we call it a farm implement Let us be as direct as possible so that we can know what we are here to do. And because we are men, of course, I appreciate the fact that we have other people represented. Of course, we have females here as well, and that is absolutely fine. I believe that people here will end up becoming mothers who will raise sons, and so the information is also very, very peculiar. My topic and my area of focus this evening is handling relationship and family matters. All right, so I'm going to try my best to steward us in that direction in the next few minutes. So I'm going to plead with you to please follow me carefully. I wouldn't want to lose you. I want you for the next few minutes, give me your full and undivided attention. Now, we need to start from the very basics as we get down to brass tacks. When we look at the concept of family, psychology will help us to understand family as the fundamental social unit of human societies. Follow me, we are building something, because if we want to look at how to handle family issues, and it may look like I'll be focusing more on what looks like the home or the marriage, so even if you are single, this information is going to help you steward and position yourself accurately, as it touches and borders on love relationships, as you will later see as we move on. Now, according to sociologists will tell you that a family, forms an emotional connection and serves as an economic unit of the society. Now, pay attention to the kind of words that are being used to describe family by different professional circles. Psychology said the fundamental social unit. Sociology said economic unit. All right, so you are seeing that these things essentially suggest that the family is integral for a powerful society, is integral. The degeneration we see in the society is a reflection of the degeneration that has taken place in the family unit. And when we come to understand the weight of what the family unit represents, we begin to understand the severity of the person that has been placed at the head of the family unit. All right, so who was placed at the head of this family unit? And that is why you can't talk about family without bringing in a blend of the spiritual dynamics into it, simply because there is a way that God organized the family setup. Now, in 1 Corinthians, you will see that's 1 Corinthians 11 verse 3. You can always be reading up on that later. Where scripture says that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man. All right, and the head of Christ is God. So you see that there's an organogram. You have head, you have Christ, you have man, and you have woman within the family unit. This was not in any way talking about the society. All right, because we need to understand that men and women are equal, but for the sake of functionality, in the family unit, there's need for a manager, and hence the need for the man to be the head of that family unit. That comes with a lot of responsibility. And like I said, when you talk about responsibility, when you understand your responsibility, you understand the possibilities that are made available for you. And you cannot understand your responsibility if you do not understand the functions that come with that position. Now, for every leadership in every organization, there is something that is called the portraits of offices, or what you call the job description. All right, and what is that? That means that you need to be aware of the things that you are expected to do. That means that there are roles, there are responsibilities. Everybody here, maybe not, I heard that some people just graduated, but I know that everybody has an idea. At least majority of us that are working have an idea of how an organization looks like. All right, we have heads that we call managers, we have assistant managers, we have departmental heads. There is an organogram, one reporting to the other. Why? For the sake of order. So the reason man was put, the male now, was put as the head of the family unit is for the sake of functionality, management. Well, realize that it is primarily because the man was formed first. It will be an aberration to bring the woman that was formed next, as so there's that order, there is that structure that's supposed to be there. Now there are also other mysteries that I'm not going to go into yet because of time, because we need to break it down into bits and into practical, relatable terms so we can understand the severity of what we face. All right, okay, so When we look at Ephesians chapter 5 as well, I need to use this to lay the foundation. So follow me please again. Like I said, I don't want to lose you. I'm not preaching, but it's very important for us to bring this. You can't take this foundation out of a sensitive issue like the family unit. So it says here that in verse 3 of chapter 5 was saying, for the husband is the head of the wife. Are you seeing that? And so it says that husbands are to love their wives as Christ loved the church. That right there is what now it said, and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word. I'm going to break it into practical and applicable terms what that means. So, but I have to share this so we can understand where this principle came from. It says that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that it should be holy and without blemish. All right. It says, so also men ought to love their wives as their own bodies. So typically, essentially, it's saying that the role and the responsibility of a man is a self-sacrificing one. And so you wonder why we have a lot of Mother's Days and very few Father's Days. We have a lot of International Women's Days, so to speak. When it comes to International Men's Day, very few people are aware. You see, it is because the responsibility, the duties of a man, in a sense, are hidden. All right? They are hidden, but they are vital. They are pivotal. It looks more like a iceberg. The tip of the iceberg, you see the woman, but underneath the iceberg, which forms the base, is where the man is, bearing the weight, bearing the load, because that is where much of the problem of the work lies. All right. So the fact that men may not be recognized, and dear men, you have to prepare yourself for this. This is not something to compete about. This is not something to be jealous about. But the truth of the matter is that visibility may not necessarily come from men till the end of time, simply because the work is too much to give room for any form of visibility. And so it is not something to be pained about. It's something to embrace, understanding that your work is serious. And the reason why your work is serious is because there's going to come a time, whether you live to be 100, even if you live to be 1,000, a time is going to come. There's going to be an end to your life. Everybody has an expiry date. And at the end of your life, you're going to give a report to your boss, the one that made you the head of the family unit. And the question is going to be, Ademayowa, how did you steward the people that I put in your care? Starting with your wife. Did you steward your wife in the fulfillment of my purposes for her? Did you steward your children in the fulfillment of my purposes for her? And you see that there is so much weight of responsibility right there, because you are not just giving account for yourself alone, you are giving account for a lot of people that have been put under your care. God help you if you have 8 children. God really, really help you. It shows you that you have a lot of accounting to do. And these are not things that God takes lightly, because the value of a soul, the value of a life is very important. I take you back to the earlier definitions when we looked at the professional fields, when it talks about the social unit, talks about the functional unit, talks about the economic unit, even political science will tell you that politics starts from the family unit, because that's where preferences are batted from. So you realize that there's a burden of responsibility on you to steward in the right direction of empirical data, like Victor Z was saying earlier. Data is very important, and that means that you cannot undo family based on instinct. Your instinct can be wrong, because your instincts are a function of your programming. And what do I mean by programming? You grew up in a family system, whether it is a foster system or it is a biological system. You grew up in a family system, and in that family system, you are going to carry the ideology, the mentality of that family system. The implication being that you are going to continue to repeat a cycle unless you are deliberate about orienting yourself. And that is why personal development is very, very important. All right, so you are going to continue that cycle unless you are deliberate about getting information that is superior to help you break out of it. I want you to let that sink in a little bit, so you can understand that burden is so much. You cannot run. You see, a lot of people think that we should just start to get into a relationship with somebody that we love, we like, and then from there we see how it goes, and then we get married. Marriage will just sort itself out. We will work it out. And the question I like to ask people is, where did you learn all that you need to know about being a husband? Where did you learn all that you need to know about being a father? If it is all by instinct, you have not taken time to read books, you have not taken time to attend trainings, seminars, to equip you, to prepare you, then you are a disaster waiting to happen. I am not sorry to say it. Because if we do not understand the severity, I've seen so many things in my life. I've seen a lot of people mess up homes. I've had the privileges of handling, different crises in relationships and in marriages, and I've seen things. And it just goes down to programming and people who feel like they are a law unto themselves. And that is why we're not going to spare men. Follow me again. We are headed somewhere. How you steward your family is largely a function of how you steward your life. If you have not been deliberate, we can track every form of irresponsibility in every family unit to an irresponsibility in the life of the father. Now, if you are here and you are listening to me and all you are saying is, then what about mothers? I'm sorry, I'm not talking to mothers, I'm talking to fathers. Because as far as I am concerned, even if your wife is not entirely, picture perfect, even if mothers, so to speak, have their own shortcomings, as long as the head of the father is correct, the family will be correct. That is the burden of leadership. And that is why I am deliberate. Because one wrong move and you can run a family into the ground. You run a family into the ground, you have forgotten that those children will grow up and they will go and have families of their own, and then they will continue the cycle of programming. And they will go on to have children of their own who will continue. So you understand that as a man as you are, generations are tied to you. One wrong move and generations of people will get it wrong. And that is why I'm being very deliberate and being very frank with you this evening. And thank God we are men. We know how to tell ourselves the truth, right? Last, we will vex for each other, scatter ham, and then we'll come back and say no vex. So maybe at the end of the session I can tell you no vex. But right now, let's say it the way it is. Alright, so having built that, someone said earlier, talking about when they were describing me, they were talking about knowledge and law. One of the things that you're going to know is that I grew up in a family that my father is someone that loves knowledge a lot, and so naturally I picked that up. That's an example of programming. Now I could pick that up because it was necessary, it was important, it was positive. Are there other negative stuff that I picked up as well? Yeah, but I had to drop them. Thank God for information, thank God for training, thank God for mentoring, because at some point you're going to need mentors in your life. Sometimes knowledge is not enough. You need people who are working in it, who are practicing it, so that you can see how the knowledge is implemented. We will get there eventually. But I'm laying this foundation so you can understand that the burden of responsibility on a man is severe, and God is not playing with it. So we can track every societal problem down to the irresponsibility of a man. Whether the man is not doing his role or he abandoned his family. Now, because of my time, I'm going to focus on two things. I will talk about the attributes of a good head. Alright? Because you see, when I read the scripture, it said the man is the head of the woman, right? And it says the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. What does it mean to be a good head? What are the attributes of a good head? And we're going to get into it. Now, when you look at the head of the person, there are certain features that you see there. You see the eyes, you see the nose, you see the ears, you see the mouth, and you see the brain. All right, in the head. And these things have symbolism. Of course, there's one more thing. You also see the hair, right? Okay, so let's start with the hair. The hair represents covering. All right, when you talk about hair covers your scalp. Why? There's a regulation that the hair does. Science students, all right, and if you did biology, or integrated science, at least these are basic things that they taught us back in school. So when we talk about the hair, the essence of it is to regulate temperature, to protect, all right, so that the impact of the heat will not be directly on the scalp, because if there's no hair, dehydration is faster, causes a lot of problems. So hair protects. That means that hair covers the head. So every man that wants to succeed at anything must have a mentor who covers you, who shields you, who protects you, who regulates you. The place of covering is the place of authority. That's why I asked earlier, where did you learn all there is to know about being a man? Where did you learn all there is to know? Because whether you like it or not, everybody is actively being mentored by something. You are either mentored by Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or you are mentored by someone that is deliberate about their lives. So, you need to find a mentor. You can't do it alone. There are things that you think are genuinely right, and it takes a mentor to help you realize that you are a disaster waiting to happen. That's the reason of experience. Experience simply serves as you preventing mistakes, and the worst kind of mistake you can make is the one that can be avoided. Don't make the mistake other people have made. That's the essence of mentoring. I've had interactions with people that I consider mentors, and they will say, you should not do this like this. I did this some years ago, and it cost me a lot. So if you go on this track, you are not going to like yourself. I learned. There were sometimes I did coconut head, and I tried, and I messed up, and I knew that yes, and they told me. So here represents mentoring. Do you have hair, or are you bald? Begin to check it. This is not the time to be looking out, to be talking about the qualities of a mentor. We really don't have that time, because my time is counting down fast. Alright, secondly, the next thing we see is the highs. You must have vision. You must know where you are going. Don't be thinking of starting a family. Don't even think of starting a relationship if you don't know where you are headed. You don't know your destination and you want to bring someone on the journey. There's problem. And I used to tell people, in looking for a life partner, you must first know your destination. Purpose is very important. What is the vision for your life? Where are you headed? Somebody that is supposed to run a marathon cannot be hitting himself with someone that can run 100 meters. There will be problem. There will be crisis. Because you are jogging to conserve energy. The person that is running 100 meters is sprinting. There will be problem. You will think the person is running too fast. And the person will think you are dulling, you are too slow. So you need someone that can walk with you on the journey. So what is the vision for your life? Where are you going? Where are you headed? That's eyes. And I hope you know, if you don't have a vision for your life, how will you have a vision for your family? You will run it anyhow. And in a city without vision, the people perish. It's a principle. If you don't know where you are headed, anywhere will be your bus stop. Nose. You must be able to discern for time. You must be able to understand priorities. Is this for now? When do I need to work? When do I need to play? When do I need to spend? When do I need to save? Can you differentiate between what is right and what is responsible? Not everything that is right is responsible. And that's the essence of being a man. And not everything that is right is for that time. There are some things you need to delay. There are times you may need to delay gratification. That's what the nose is for. Nose picks up a sense from afar, so that you can know it to run from trouble, or to embrace trouble. Or to confront trouble rather. You need to know what to run away from and what to confront. It's not every fight you fight. There are some you run away from because they are beyond your capacity. That's what the nose does. So we go to ears. How attentive are you to the things that are around you? Are you situationally aware? Are you paying attention to the patterns in your life? There are negative patterns and you're not doing something about it. A lot of people are now hiding under economy, where it is a failure of development on your own part. You're not spending right, and so you are perpetually borrowing, and then you are claiming it is economy. I don't know how dollar is affecting somebody that has nothing. Of course, I'm not underestimating the importance of the economy here, but there are some things that simple financial intelligence will save you from. How attentive are you to your own life? If you are not paid attention to your dreams, you've not paid attention to what is going around you, how will you now pay attention to a wife? How will you pay attention to your children? Because you have to be attentive to everything. And I hope you know that hearing is different from listening. Listening is hearing twice. You hear it the first time, the second time you are processing it. So how attentive are you? How attentive are you to God? Because there are some things that spiritual principles, that physical principles will not hack. That it takes an inspiration by the Holy Spirit to navigate. Come and ask me, I know. You would have applied all the principles in this world and they will not work. And they just take one random, seemingly foolish instruction that we hack it. So how attentive are you to God? You are not hearing God for your life. The God that you go and give report to at the end of your life. You've not paid attention to how to hear Him. You're playing, they play. Next. Oh my God, so much to say, so little time. Alright, mouth. What kind of words do you speak? Do you speak words that edify? Do you know how to bridle your tongue? The mouth of a king must learn to know how to keep secrets. Can we trust the words that come out of your mouth? Can you say something and we say that, look, if he says this, just take it like that? Or we have to keep second guessing you? If your friends are already second guessing the things you say, how do you expect your wife to trust you? And how do you expect your children to rely on you? You must be responsible. We know a responsible person by how they talk. Do your words add value? Every time you open your mouth, do people want to listen to you? Or people are looking for excuses to run away from you? Let's talk about brain. Brain represents coordination. Can you manage your life properly? Can you manage people? If you've not managed your life well, you want to be managing somebody else. You have no business. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. You have no business getting into a relationship if you've not been able to manage your own life properly. Because trust me, when somebody else enters into the mix, you're going to have to you will start thinking for two people. Do you have balance in your life, or you're all over the place? As a man, you're a manager. You must be able to think correctly, you must be able to implement rightly, and you must be able to lead wisely. You must be able to work with data. So I make bold to say that your head must be correct. As I begin to round off, because I have, maybe I'll still share some things. I just have very few minutes left, but I'm hoping that I'll have enough time to be able to share some things with us. I just wanted to run through some of these steps first. Because we've talked about the attributes of a man, we've talked about the head. Now we have to talk about the functions, your functionality. Because this helps you understand the possibilities that exist. And if time permits, I'll now be able to share some personal examples and life experiences. That's why I didn't come with slides. I wanted to speak from the heart to you guys. 3 functions. You function as a king, you function as a priest, and you function as a prophet. I'm going to explain what that means. Now, there's just something powerful about the tripartite nature. A man is spirit, soul, and body. We have God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Alright, so there's just something so powerful about the tripartite. And the same thing can be applied to the functionality of a correct head. So when we talk about the portrait of a king that you must embody, is the image of God the Father. That means that you must be able to recognize your territory where God has put you, and you should be able to take authority in your jurisdiction. Nothing should go wrong in everything that you possess, in your life, in your resources, everything. You must be able to take authority. Nothing should encroach in it. You must be able to defend it. You can't afford to give room for slackness in your life and the life of those attached to you. You must be effective. There are no excuses for a king. You must be effective. And the reason why you have to be effective is you must keep in mind that you're going to give account. So responsibility has to be your primary nature. It doesn't matter what goes wrong where. As long as it is on your watch, you must put things right. And that means that you must be able to deliver sound judgment. You can't deliver sound judgment without having the right information. This thing goes back to being able to get informed. Sound judgment is a function of right information. See, I have seen 17-year-old men and I have seen 75-year-old boys. It's not a function of age. It's a function of information. You can be 35 years old, you can be 40 years, and you are still a boy. You've got to grow. If you cannot provide sound judgment, woe to the city whose king is a babe. There's going to be a problem. You have to be able to provide the necessary resources to fill your vision. The burden of responsibility on a king is serious. On his lies the head that wears the crown. So it's not a matter of I am the head. It's not by mouth. It's by responsibility. You have to be able to protect your territory. And that means sometimes you may need to protect your wife from your friends, maybe sometimes from your family. Cover her weakness. Make up for her. Step in. A lot of people are so ashamed of their wives. You're not doing your job. You cover. Protect your situation. Your children from situations that capitalizes on their vulnerability. There are predators. Some people will take sides with their families against their wives. Take sides with their friends to mock their wives and hide under the name of a just band. You must be able to drive initiatives. Your wife shares some things with you, or your girlfriend or your fiancé shares some things with you. You don't have to go all out sharing with everybody. Keep it to yourself. You must be able to manage information. Imagine if it's all the intelligence that the president of Nigeria is revealing to the press. There will be problem. There will be panic. You must be able to manage information. When to share things with children, when not to share things. You must be able to compartmentalize. The next thing, and I'm rushing, and I'm sorry that I have to rush it, is because of my time, you know. The next portrait is the portrait of a priest. That's the image of Jesus Christ. And like I said earlier when I was talking about the brain, you are a manager. And being a manager means that you're a servant. So, you must know when to give up your pride so that you can serve. You are to serve. You are put there to serve, not to lord it over and say, oh, this is what we are going to be doing, everybody. A wise manager is the one that listens to feedback from his team. Because every true manager, every true leader knows that they don't know it all. So you are able to manage the skill set of everybody under your authority and direct supervision. That means that it is possible that your girlfriend, your fiancé, has a better perspective on some issues than you. Trust me, I'm a husband. I know. There are some things I will just have to run by my wife, and she will say, I don't think we should do it like this. And I will listen to her, and I will be grateful that I listened to her. Imagine, men think deeply, women think wide. So, imagine that you are partnering with someone that thinks wide with your depth. Depth combined with the width. That's an amazing partnership. So being a manager does not mean you have all these tools. In fact, I can assure you, you don't have all the tools. What makes you a great manager is your ability to steward the resources and the skill set and the intelligence of those that are within you, that are working with you. Same with children if you have children. There are things that your children know about their generation that you may not know. You don't believe me? Okay. Some of you are parents. How many times do your parents come to you to help them with things on their phone? That's an example. You think it stops with you? I'm sorry, no. No task should be derogatory to you. Somebody says, help me wash the plate. You are saying, how can you tell me to wash the plate? Why can't you wash plate? Don't you use plate to eat? Help me wash the toilet. I can't wash toilet. Why can't you wash it? You don't use the toilet? It's a life skill. Doesn't come with gender. And you don't want to have children that don't know how to do things. Another positive I learned from my dad is that my dad is handsy. And I remember when one day my wife and my brother's wife were talking, and they were saying that the way they assist, and we just smiled. We said, well, because there are certain things that my dad also does at home, and we grew up watching him do those things. Your children will naturally pattern after what they see you do. So you want to parent correctly, you have to become. You want to earn respect from your wife, there are things that you must do. You must be able to manage her well. And that starts from relationship. No woman will marry you if they don't see you as someone that can manage them well. So, as a priest, you must be given to knowledge, but you have to be practical in delivery. Humility, sacrifice should define you. You must model love in a way the world has never seen before. And that means that sometimes you must be able to endure foolishness until the members of your family are wise. I remember when my wife, and maybe this might be the only life example before I go to the portraits of the prophet, and then we wrap up. When I started courting my wife came from a background where they were not exposed to so many things. And I was exposed. I had so many friends that were exposed, always talking about global perspectives. And I knew that if I brought my wife into that conversation with my friend, it's going to look somehow, it's not going to put her in the right perspective. I didn't abandon her like some guys would. I started sharing with her. And she started taking interest. She was someone that didn't like reading. I said, you will read, I read an average of 200 books per year. Where are we going to write it? So I started with an area of interest. Okay, can you get a book in this area? And before I knew it, she had almost finished all the books in my library. I was like, wow, this is serious. And then the next thing, we started talking about history. She didn't like history. I thought it was boring to her. She didn't like statistics. So I started looking for videos that had documentaries that talked about history. And we started watching them together. I started taking interest. I started explaining so many things. It was just a few months ago. My wife said some things, and I looked at her. I said, I've officially made my wife a nerd. She was analyzing science. I'm like, what? She was discussing with her friend, and she was just breaking everything. I'm like, wow, interesting. I worked on her. That's the nurturing capacity of the priest. And now if you hear my wife talk about policies, talk about country, I remember there was a day she was talking to her sisters and trying to explain the tension between Russia and US and North Korea. I'm like, what? My wife? That was talking about North Korea some years ago, about 8 years ago, and she was like, what's that? That is an example. That's what priesthood entails. Finally, the portrait of the prophet, which is the image of the Holy Spirit. You must be a visionary. And that means that you can't afford to be satisfied with the status quo. You must constantly seek for ways to improve. You must improve yourself. You must improve your community. Your life must be so contagious that it brings life and newness to every environment you come in contact with. Let it be said of you that, look, whenever this guy comes around, there's just always something different. There's always something transformative. You must carry that aura. And the reason is simply because, look, vision drives people. You must know how to inspire, how to propel, how to comfort, how to teach, how to guide, how to stand in the gap for those in your care. You must be willing to confront darkness. Something is wrong, you don't pamper it, you hammer it. And that also means that if they confront you with it, you embrace the light. Oh, I'm sorry. You must be willing to say sorry. That thing about men have ego, I know it's true, but we have made it into a narrative that looks non-negotiable. The essence of the ego is for you to come down. Ego does not help anybody. You are arrogant, you are proud, they can't correct you, they can't talk to you. Problem factorial. A disaster going somewhere to happen. A ticking time bomb. So you must be willing to confront every form of darkness. every form of weakness and turn it into strength. You can't afford to be soft on wrongdoing. You have a responsibility to point yourself and people to the truth. Everything about you must be truth, peace, and justice. That's the image of the prophet. And it's very important that we keep this in perspective, because we are in a society that is becoming going increasingly haywire. We need sanity. We need men to take authority. We need men that are now prayer warriors. The praying is not for women alone. You must get to that point where you are the last to sleep and the first to wake up. Taking authority. I must let you know that there are some things that life principles may not sort out. It's the place of prayer. They need to hear the voice of the man in the house. I have a few seconds left. Something happened a few weeks ago, and I told my wife, I said, in this year, we're not going to the hospital at all. And my son came back from school, was not feeling too fine, and then the following morning she was saying maybe I should take him to work. My wife is a medical practitioner, and I said, no, he's not going to the hospital. He's not going to the hospital. And then I carried him. I said, look, I speak to you. Whatever form of sickness is inside of you, get out now. And I told my wife, I said, okay, let's give him food. And then he ate the food and he started playing. And my wife was like, okay, so maybe we'll just stay with you, at home, so that we can watch him. I said, we're not watching him, he's going to school. I also have some places to be. He's going to school. I'm an entrepreneur, but of course I have some control over my life. I said he's going to school. And then he got to school and the teachers were calling us and they were like, what's up with Nathan? He's unusually active today, he was just playing. I'm like, that's the boy that was snuffing if I overnight. Tell me which kind of life principle will sort that one out. You must understand the authority you carry. And you must be able to stand by it when everything all comes down. I hope we've been able to gain one or two things today. I'd like to say a big thank you. I know my time is up, so I'll hand over to the host.
Thank you for listening. Kindly follow us on YouTube for more inspiring editions at ManUp.